Hey, this is Adam Steele from Loganics.net, and you are listening to 100 Days of SEO.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to 100 Days of SEO. My name is Brendan Hufford. I do SEO from everybody ranging from $90 million venture-backed startups to local window washers. And today, I have the pleasure of sharing with you an interview that I did with Adam Steele. Adam is very kind, wonderfully Canadian, and one of the most badass link builders. He would never describe himself that way, but he is one of the most badass link builders on the planet. If you look at who's following Adam on Twitter, it's not 10,000 people or 100,000 people, but it is everybody smart in SEO when it comes to link building. They all follow Adam. So I hope you love this interview. You'll definitely learn something about advanced link building, huge mistakes that beginners and advanced SEOs are making when it comes to link building. Adam's just a wealth of knowledge. It's gonna make you rethink a lot of what you've been taught and what you've learned about SEO, and that's because Adam has rethought a lot of what he's done for his agency Loganics in the past 6 months. So I hope you enjoy. Let's do it.
Adam, thanks for joining us for 100 Days of SEO.
Dude, thanks for having me. It's awesome.
Absolutely, man. So I already did like a brief intro, and I guess I'm really curious. There's so much in SEO. It can be so overwhelming for somebody trying to learn it or trying to like figure out like what's my next step? Like what do I do first? And what I really want to kind of ask you about is like what's your framework for thinking about SEO? If you wanted to help somebody, whether they have a new website or an existing website, they want to get more traffic to their website from search. What do you prioritize? Like, how do you think about SEO?
A lot of folks come to me, to my team, Loganics. Oftentimes they're agencies or they're the digital marketing manager at a brand of some sort. So they already have like a pretty good understanding of their on-site stuff. What they're coming to me for is usually their off-site stuff. So be it link building or citation building, GMB stuff, that kind of thing. So the questions I typically get revolve around that. I just try and look at the SERP and figure out what is going on there. And I'll spend a bunch of time just looking at the different competitors and seeing what is it that they're doing that we might be able to copy, essentially, which is certainly nothing new. And on the local end, I'll just look at the top ranking GMBs. Like, are they service area businesses? Are they not? If they are service area businesses, are they hiding their address, or are they choosing not to hide their address? How many reviews do they have? I'll look at the citation stuff, even though it's kind of a little less important nowadays. And just go down this list that doesn't exist of different things that might come to mind that might, we might be missing, or that we ought to do ourselves. And if it's just a purely organic issue, almost always I'll just start in Ahrefs. I'll just punch their site in. I'll punch, say, the top 3, top 5 most likely competitors in, and I'll just kind of try and figure out if we have any shot here, and if we do, where best focus the budget. Because when I get approached, almost always there is a budget. Like there is, say, 2K, or there is 5K or 10K a month or something. So there is sort of a set budget, and I have to take that and decide, do we have any chance here, or should we walk away from this fight and focus on a different SERP? But I don't know if that answers your question, but that's sort of how I approach it in sort of a very abstract way.
Yeah. Well, I want to move on to something in a second, but I did want to pull, I guess I'm just curious, like, Ahrefs was one of the first sponsors of 100 Days of SEO. I'm an Ahrefs user. Obviously, sure. You are too. Where do you find like the tool can do a lot of different things. Where do you find like, what is the most valuable part of that tool for you? Like, where do you find a lot of value in it?
Yeah, I don't get too fancy with it. I know I've learned a lot from other folks who've really dug deep into Ahrefs, but for me, Site Explorer is my bread and butter. So I get in there and I'll use every little feature available to me to sort of dissect usually a competitor's link profile, and it'd be like type of links. So is it a comment link? Is it a forum link? Is it a contextual link? Is those, so what is sort of the overall theme of the referring links? What is the theme of the referring domains? Are they relevant? Are they not relevant? Are they more general? So I'm kind of looking at that to get some sense of what do I have to do as well as they are. Again, nothing particularly new.
Yeah. Good point. I use it a lot too, and I pull out pretty much everything that's along the left sidebar. I just play with endlessly and try to find. I like that they're starting to show internal links. They're not really always accurate, but it's cool too, because it's such an easy win for clients to be like, hey, like we can get you these links from other websites, but you could also just link to it from your own website, because we found these 3 pieces of content that you've only linked to in one place. So yeah, that's super helpful.
It's super old school. Like we've been doing internal linking for forever, but it's been my experience among the websites I've seen, big and not big, internal linking is super underutilized.
Yeah, especially if you have, what ends up happening is people don't, I think it's really a system of like revising content, right? They never go back and update stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you're this huge venture-backed startup and it's just go, fast, speed, execute everything. You're putting out all of this content and it's all really good, but you don't go back to this killer article you wrote, a while back and link to, you're not going back and like linking to your new stuff from your old stuff and really having any sort of thoughtfulness, or at least what I've experienced. For the most part, people just have an article, they link to the old stuff, then they write a new article. I'm like off the camera. They write a new article, link to the old stuff, another new one, link to the old stuff, but it never goes back the other way. And I think it's a really big missed opportunity, and it's definitely a mistake I see a lot of people make. When it comes to off-page SEO, we'll focus on that specifically. What are some of like the beginner mistakes that you see people making when it comes to like link building, guest posting, just all of the things that make up off-page SEO?
I'll touch on citations, and I'll touch on sort of more traditional link building. Citation-wise, I think it was once upon a time drilled into our head that it was super important to be 100% consistent. You have your name, address, phone number, 100% consistent across all profiles. I think there's a lot more leeway than we know in that. You can do very, very well and not be all that consistent. So I think, I don't know if that's a myth or what have you, but I just think there's a lot more flexibility than we know there. As far as the citations are concerned, it seems to me that, and when I say it sort of seems to me, it is what I sort of see in the wild, looking at lots and lots of these different SERPs, is that citation building is not something you need to obsess over. I usually tell my clients, like, let's get it done in month 1, let's get it over with, and let's pretty much not return to it ever again. You just do it once, and if you do it right, you really don't have to return to it. It doesn't need to be a monthly effort. You just don't need to obsess about it. And it seems like there's kind of, once you have, say, 100, 125, 150, that you really, like, anything beyond that seems to have very small value, sort of diminishing returns, if you will. So it doesn't seem to be, aside from local based citations, there doesn't seem to be that many sort of structured directory style listings beyond that are worthwhile ish, I would say. And the local citations, when I talk about like a local citation, I mean more of a locally focused, maybe a directory based in Philadelphia that just does Philadelphia based businesses. That would be a structured, local specific citation source, or a place where you can get your citation. Those are gold mines, in my opinion. Like, those you could get a little bit obsessive about, but that's also for that referring link as well, not just the citation itself. So you can kind of go down that rabbit hole, and it'll have much more value beyond just the citation itself. On the organic or link building side of things, I think a common mistake, I come from the link building world, so I have a somewhat different viewpoint, I suppose, because it's a lot of what I do, like, every single day, only what I do every single day. What I see is a lot of folks being very okay with links from guest post sites or sites that accept guest content or guest contributions that seem to have given up on their own contributions and are now just running this site for money generated from taking these paid links. So like they may post 10 times a month, and of those 10 times, 8 of them are paid. And so it's like paid article, paid article, paid article, their own article, paid article, paid article, paid article. And it just looks to me like such a fat footprint. And it seems like that could get people in a good bit of hot soup down the road. And yet it seems like so many are okay with that. So I think that's something to watch out for down the road, because if I think it's a footprint, then goodness, Google must know and see and be able to figure out that this is an obvious footprint. So I think that's something that kind of freaks me out a bit. And I think maybe should freak other people out just a bit more.
Yeah, I remember when I started doing a lot of link building a couple of years ago, for clients and even myself, we're told to use like the search operators of like, do they have the words right for us or become a contributor or whatever. And you find that you get this big list, and if you were like me and you were broke, you just use Gmail to reach out, or if you have more money, you use, we're fancy around here now, so we use Pitchbox. But like you use these tools or whatever, you reach out. And I think what you're saying is also something I've seen, which is like, they look good. The metrics still look okay. If we look at like secondary metrics, do they still have good search traffic? Do they still, Ahrefs gives like a traffic estimate. Do they have a good, close trust flow and citation flow? Do they have like a good overall authority? And even if they still have these things, you just can't help but wonder, like, how long is that going to last? Yeah. And they just degrade over time. Like, how much is that link? It's great that we got it for a client or ourselves or whatever we're working on. But if the only place you're guest posting is where everybody is guest posting, those websites are going to turn into, do you remember e-zine articles?
Yeah.
It's kind of old school. I feel like they're going to turn into e-zine articles real quick, where like everybody in SEO found out you could just spam the heck out of this thing and write 500 articles. It just turns into that. It's not really worth it.
You can't stop at the metrics. I made that mistake in previous years where, I had a number of different agencies come to me and say, I want a minimum of TF this, I want minimum of CF this, I want the TTF to look like this, I want the DR to be greater than this, et cetera, et cetera. And so I basically took the list, or many, many, many lists. We're talking tens of thousands, well over 100,000 domains, and basically ran them through, basically gathered data via different APIs and scripts that we built up over time, and just sorted them. And anything below those metrics was cut off, and then everything else was good, but it wasn't good. This year we started going through every single one of those domains, and this is super not scalable but super important, doing a manual review and looking at the type of linking behavior that is going on these sites, looking at the traffic growth or decline over time as per Ahrefs, and all those kinds of sort of things that are just harder to automate, I suppose. Like, it'd be hard to automate, I would think, to pull traffic growth or decline over time and then pull that into a spreadsheet. How the hell you would do that? Or how many comments on average these posts get, or social activity that these posts get, or all those kinds of things. Are they linking out to bad sort of sites, casino sites, loan sites, all that kind of thing? How you automate that is beyond me. So we just manually look at this stuff, and it takes a horribly long time. But I think that's just being responsible, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, what do you think as far as, what about people who know the game? So people who understand the value of links and they have like a general understanding. This is something I'm not dealing with, but it's a hurdle that I think people have to overcome, that they have to actually put themselves out there and build relationships. SEO is very much about relationships. And I think that's as it should be, right? There's a human behind every website. And the more that we want websites to be related to each other in the form of links or whatever else, usually if you look at somebody's website and you look at their backlink profile, it's most often, if it's a good, honest website, not like a huge company or anything, but like a personal website, it's just going to be a list of links to their friends, right? People they have actual relationships with. And in the SEO for the Rest of Us, this course I launched not that long ago, really teaching people of like, you got to email people, you got to reach out and like make friends. And they're like, really? And it's like, yeah, it doesn't have to be some spammy, like terrible, you get those emails, I'm sure, all the time that are just like requesting links or trying to do whatever. And it's like, nobody likes getting those, but if you just reach out, like take your time and reach out like a real genuine human, it works. It's not super scalable, but like you do have to form relationships. So that's kind of like more on the beginner side of things. What about advanced SEOs? Like, are there any mistakes? Obviously people come to you to help them with this, even agencies and stuff. Like, what are mistakes that advanced people kind of make when they're trying to do it on their own?
I can with every conference that I go to, I kind of realize how not advanced I am.
I don't know anything anymore.
It's frustrating how little I actually know. I know like just this little tiny niche sliver of SEO. Fortunately, it's kind of a big thing, link building, but still there's just so much. I think if I had to come up with something, which I do, and sort of taking the theme that you were kind of riffing about just a moment ago, I think more time could be spent offering value to these folks that you're reaching out to. So an example, and I think I'm stealing this from, I forget her name. She spoke at Traffic Think Tank Live. I want to say it's Nadia or something similar. She's from Vengage. And so if I'm stealing from her, please give her credit for it. But one of the things we started to do a lot is when we approach a site, we approach them with, hey, I did some key, I recognize that your business or your website is in this sort of niche. I did some keyword research in this niche. I noticed that your competitors tend to rank quite well for these particular terms. I think these terms have a lot of commercial intent for the way that you're trying to monetize. I think I could write a fantastic piece of content on this particular topic. Here are the keywords I would use. I would run it through something like write.com or whatever, do the TDI IDF, and I would really put some time into this. And I think on the back end of this, you could earn, say, 1,000, 1,500 more organic visits every single month, should I be able to do this right for you. So coming from a place of value and having done that research up front. The research itself takes 5 minutes. It doesn't really take that long. Just somebody who knows their way around Ahrefs can be taught this. Like a virtual assistant can be taught this. So it is scalable in my opinion. So I think, coming from a place of doing your homework and a place of this may convert for you. I see how you're monetizing. If we can bring this traffic in, I think it might mean money for you. That way, most times you don't have to pay for those sites. Like you don't have to pay some contributor, or you don't have to pay for somebody's, their media kit fee or what have you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree. I think that it's always about like figuring out what the industry is, right? Because I know that in some industries, like I reached out and we were doing a lot of outreach and things just weren't landing really well. And I was like, I don't know what this is. And then we tried just something real straightforward. It was in like the digital marketing, online marketing space. And we were like, hey, this is a link request from a real person. And just put some personality into it. And like, we got a lot of response because people appreciated that it was straightforward. It wasn't some veiled, it was just, I would like a link from you. Here's why I'm qualified. You've probably heard of us kind of thing. And that makes sense versus reaching out to construction websites or something like that, or, you know, even some home improvement ones where it's like, you know, so you have to like look at them and do, like you said, a couple seconds of research and be like, oh, this is somebody who does have like their SEO game kind of on point. Like I can talk to them about keywords, versus another one where, you know, you pitch one website and you're like, hey, here's some keywords and here's this traffic. And they're like, look, I don't really, are you selling something? And it gets confusing. So it seems like you just have oversold it. Right. So I don't know. But I do think that there's definitely something to that. Tell me, when, with the work that you're doing with organics and stuff, tell me, I would love to hear like one of your, kind of as a last question, like your biggest learning as you went through your lists and really audited it, and not pruned isn't the right word, but just you wanted to really increase the quality of what you had there. What was some of your big learnings from that?
I think pruned isn't the right word. I think it was more like massacred. It went from something like 100,000 to, I don't know that we've come up with 1,000 yet. I think we're somewhere in the 500 to 600. This is the same list that everybody has. It's the same list. I won't name names, but you search guest post service in Google right now. Everybody on first page has the same list. They're being shopped to everybody, right? So everybody has, 50,000, 20,000, 100,000 sites, right? So we just went through that list and we decided what we could automate, and everything that was less than whatever metrics was gone. So now we had, say, 10,000. And then we tried to run it, create sort of a bot to automate some of the stuff that we thought would have to be manual. Got rid of a bunch more. I think I kind of spoke already to some of the things that we noticed, is just how much paid activity there was. Just an incredible amount of buying links. And no surprise, I mean, everybody has these lists. These are lists that are being shopped around by brokers. I think one of the more interesting things that I noticed is, and I suppose it's not a surprise, or wouldn't come as a surprise, is the more paid activity that occurred, the more likely that when I pulled them up in Ahrefs, their traffic, their organic traffic, as per Ahrefs, which is an estimate at best, is going down. It just seems the way it goes. It's once they stop investing in their own good content, they're just getting SEO content, or they're just getting inexpensive $15 an article content, and it does nothing for their site. I think it just waters down their site overall, because it's not written to rank for anything. It's just some filler content that may make total sense. Like you read it, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but it doesn't do anything for the site. So again, sort of tying back to my earlier point, bring value. And not only will your next link that you get from that site be more worthwhile, but you're more likely to get that second link from that site because they want to work with you. They saw that you delivered value last time. So, yeah,
totally. This is something I've been thinking about lately. I'm wondering, I don't know, I keep putting it out there. It's just this idea that in the past, when it came to links, the idea was like getting that first link matters the most from a website. And then everything after that's kind of like diminishing returns, like getting a second, third, fourth link wasn't really the priority. So people would get a link and then they'd go on to the next. And I think if we're not already in this day, I think we're in the day soon where Google sees the importance of two authority websites like linking back and forth to each other over time, versus like, oh, I got that one link from whatever, insert like authority website here, like in 2013, and then they never linked to me again. Google's going to be like, why haven't they linked to you in 6 years? That's weird. Like if they really had like if your websites were really tied together with any sort of like sharing of authority, that should matter. And I think what they'd want to see is, a link from my website to Loganics, and then you link to me, and then we link to each other in this month. And then 6 months later, there's another link, and it just goes back and forth over time. And you see this like, like how Facebook shows you like this day in the past kind of thing. Like you can see this like long relationship if we just look at the backlinks back and forth. And I think it becomes this point where like, we do want that relationship where I want a link from you or from anybody. And then it's like, but I also want that second one and that third one. And like, eventually you just have a relationship with people. I know this sounds weird because like, I mean, I'll speak for myself, but I feel like we're all just like a bunch of nerds. And then you tell people like, you got to talk to people and everybody's like, oof, I don't know about that. So like, you're not a nerd. I'm a nerd. But like, you know, it just, I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think there's anything there?
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be totally honest with you.
Neither am I.
However, I think if we were to look beyond just the SEO value of that placement, you know, if I had a bunch of links coming from, say, Mike Blumenthal's website, blumenthals.com, that would have more than just an SEO value. People would be following those links and potentially, you know, hearing about me for the first time and potentially buying some of my wares. So there, you know, as we're looking, as you go down the rabbit hole and get pickier and pickier about these websites, what you find is these websites actually end up sending you referral traffic, and you didn't expect that because, you know, for me, I come from a world of where that really didn't matter too much. It was just about the ranking. Is it going to help me rank? Because I'm concerned about the traffic that's going to come from the SERP, not the traffic that, you know, may come from, you know, a referring domain. So as you get pickier, you start seeing this referring traffic, and in that case, yeah, relationship with these sites. You know, even I told somebody the other day, they said they were asking for some advice about you know, building their own outreach team. And they said, you know, I want to supplement using you guys. And I said, well, what you should do is because you're an agency, as we're doing this for you, as we're supplementing, and as you're building your own team, grab those domains that I'm building for you, or grab the domains that I'm building for you, add those to your Rolodex and start reaching out to them and start building your own relationship with them. And eventually you'll have your own contact there, and then you can use that same link for another client down the road should you have somebody who's also sort of a niche match. So I'm a big believer in building that Rolodex. You never know when it's going to come in handy, and it's worth a heck of a lot, I would think.
Yeah, for sure. Adam, really appreciate your time, man. Thanks for coming on 100 Days of SEO.
It's my pleasure. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Of course.